Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is to really take one foundational source and see what we can build from it.
And it's a fascinating one.
It is. It's a recent pastoral meditation from Pastor Huzi Khan. We're basically going to use it as a kind of blueprint for purposeful living.
It's a really robust source for that. It's dated December 12th, and it manages to bridge these, very abstract ideas with some very practical advice.
Totally. It's built around a scriptural meditation on 2 Corinthians.
Right. Chapter 5, verses 11 to 15. The title given is Living from the Dead.
So we've got 2 major streams of insight for you here. First, understanding what it actually means to reorient your whole life to live for something bigger than yourself.
And the second part is all about relationships. It gets really specific, defining the essential friendships you need to even make that first goal achievable.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're synthesizing this material to find an actionable blueprint.
Cutting through the abstract to understand the who and the why behind your daily choices. So let's just jump straight in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with the foundation of this purpose, because it really proposes this seismic shift in how you see your life.
It does.
The core concept is from 2 Corinthians 5.15, and it hinges on this idea that Christ died for everyone, so that those who are alive no longer live for themselves, but for him who died and rose again.
And that right there is a fundamental reorientation of your whole existence.
It's huge.
It's like hitting the reset button on your life's entire operating system. If you accept that premise, the pastor then asks the next logical question. So, how do you spend the rest of your time?
Right. You can't just go back to coasting.
You can't. You can't just make personal comfort the ultimate measure of a successful day.
It basically takes personal leisure off the table as the final ultimate goal.
It reframes your whole life as a service project in a way.
A service project. I like that.
And it means you have to live your life knowledgeably. You're aware of the reason for your existence and purposefully.
And this really forces you to do a kind of self-audit, doesn't it?
It does. Where do your primary resources, your time, your mental energy, your money, where does it all go?
Is it pointed inward toward your own comfort or outward toward this greater calling?
And it's not about being perfect. It's just about consciously choosing the direction of your life.
That sets the stakes incredibly high, and the source immediately gives this historical story that's designed to do just that.
This story is used so effectively. It shows how a simple piece of art can just change everything for someone.
We're talking about Frances Ridley Havergal back in 1858.
Right. She's in Germany.
She's there with her father, who's getting eye treatment, and they're staying in a pastor's home.
And in this home, she sees a picture, an image of the crucified Christ.
But it wasn't the image itself that really got to her. It was the caption.
The question written right beneath it.
An incredibly intense, direct question.
Yeah, the source quotes it directly. It says, "I have done this for you. What will you do for me?"
Wow. I mean, that's a challenge you can't just look away from.
Especially if you're already thinking about the purpose we just discussed. It's a direct call to action.
And Havergal's response was immediate. She felt this urge to write a poem.
But like any artist, she was her own worst critic.
She scribbled out a draft, looked at it, and just felt it was unsatisfactory, unworthy.
She's so disappointed in her own work, she crumpled it up and threw it right into the fireplace.
But here's the twist, and this is what makes the story so powerful for this deep dive.
The paper didn't burn.
For some reason she couldn't explain it. It survived the flames.
Her father found it later. He saw the power in the idea, even if she couldn't, and he pushed her to keep working on it.
And that poem eventually became one of the most famous hymns ever written, "I Gave My Life for Thee."
And this story is such a powerful piece of encouragement, especially when you feel, professionally or spiritually inadequate.
Like your contribution isn't enough.
Exactly. I mean, she literally said, "This is trash," and threw it in the fire. But the source implies that the core inspiration can survive, even if you feel like your execution is falling short.
So the message is to keep going.
Keep creating, keep serving, even when you feel small or insufficient.
Okay, so the challenge then becomes, how do you take that big, fiery moment of inspiration and apply it to a boring Tuesday morning?
Right. How do you sustain it?
And that moves us from the historical motivation to the daily struggle. Because it is a struggle.
It is, and the pastor is very transparent about this. He reflects on his own internal conflict.
Yes, he talks about his 2 married daughters. They both have stable jobs, and they're always suggesting that he should retire.
Enjoy more personal leisure time.
It's that comfortable sounding siren song, isn't it? The one that's always pulling us back toward a self-focused life.
And he's honest about it. He says their suggestion makes him feel a little bit affected.
I think we all know that feeling, that little whisper telling you to take the easier path, especially when you're tired.
He admits to that little internal struggle every single morning. Get up and serve, or stay put and rest.
And his solution isn't just gritting his teeth and forcing it.
No, it's about reliance. His choice every day is to lean on what he calls the grace and gift of teaching.
He actively relies on the Holy Spirit to push back against those negative emotions or feelings of reluctance.
It's a daily choice.
So, for you listening, if you're not a pastor, if you're an accountant or a contractor or a teacher, how does this translate?
The source is very clear on this. It's universal. Whatever work you do, whether it's with your brain or with your hands, it has to be done diligently.
And you have to see it as part of your broader calling.
Yes. Your vocation is part of your calling. You don't have to separate them.
So it's not about changing your job title. It's about changing the motive.
Exactly. The motive and the diligence you bring to it.
And this is where that puzzle analogy comes in.
Right. The source suggests that we are all like these small different parts of a giant puzzle.
Some of us are triangles, some are squares.
All different shapes. And God is gradually assembling this giant picture through his grace.
So let's make that really concrete. If I feel like my job is just a transaction, I'm a logistics expert, let's say. My skill is my triangle shape. How does that piece become essential?
The implication is that every single unique skill set is a necessary shape for the final image. If you're a coder, that's your piece. A caregiver, that's your shape. God needs all these distinct pieces.
So my professional expertise isn't separate from my spiritual contribution. It is my contribution.
It is. And the single final objective of that completed puzzle, the sum of all these different parts, is to glorify God.
So my Monday morning meeting isn't just about the company's bottom line.
It's about diligently placing your unique shape into a larger eternal design.
That gives so much context to the action side of purpose. But the source is practical. It acknowledges you can't do this alone.
You absolutely can't sustain this kind of life in isolation. You need a support structure.
Which brings us to the second major theme, the 4 essential friendships.
And this part comes from an article referenced in the meditation. It's based on advice from an Ivy League executive coach, Jessica Way.
It's a very clear, intentional taxonomy of the relationships we need.
Which is really helpful.
I think so too. So the coach identifies 3 types of friends for happiness. The first type she calls refuge or shelter friends.
These are your safe harbor, your absolute safe harbor. They get you.
They understand your personality, they support your weaknesses.
And they're the people who won't reject you when you're messy. They listen to your complaints, they help you recover from a loss, they provide that emotional ballast.
Then you have the second type, inspiration friends.
These are so important for preventing you from getting stuck in a rut. They challenge your bubble.
And the source says you find them in new circles, a yoga class, a book club.
Your neighbors, even. Their value is in giving you fresh perspectives, new ways of thinking. They help, as the source puts it, to open the mind and windows of the soul.
And the third type in this secular model, growth friends.
These are much more geared toward your professional life.
Right, mentors, seniors.
People who have more experience or better resources than you do. They exist to boost your career, to help you advance in your industry.
Okay, so we have emotional stability, intellectual curiosity, and professional advancement. That covers a lot of ground.
It does. But the pastor makes a crucial faith-based addition to this framework.
A fourth category.
An essential fourth. Because those first 3, as important as they are fundamentally focused on earthly happiness.
Your career, your mind, your well-being.
Right. So the pastor adds that the ultimate friend is Jesus. Yeah. And through him, we are given spiritual friends, the community you find in the church.
So what's the difference? What makes this fourth group so distinct from the others?
They operate on a completely different premise. Your refuge friend will listen to you complain about a bad day at work. But your spiritual friend, they offer active intercessory prayer for your calling.
So it's not just support, it's spiritual partnership.
Exactly. They don't just share a hobby with you, they share the same lore. They share God's vision.
They're actively helping you fit your puzzle piece into the bigger picture we talked about earlier.
Yes. They function as a team, as a family, all focused on that larger spiritual objective. They're your accountability partners for the higher calling.
Wow.
They're the ones who make sure you don't throw your efforts into the fire out of discouragement.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive. Moving from that foundational idea of purpose all the way to the community you need to actually uphold it.
It's a very complete picture.
It is. We've looked at that fundamental reorientation of purpose moving from living for yourself to living for a higher calling.
And then the intentional structure you need for support. The 3 secular friends for life's happiness, plus that essential spiritual fourth.
So to bring this home, what does this actually look like for you in the week ahead?
The source gives a very pragmatic final thought on this. The pastor talks about being grateful for a job and a stable salary because it allows him, in his words, not to offend God due to lack.
That's the practical foundation, the stability.
But the challenge he issues is to make sure your input in your spiritual life is as strong as it is in your professional life.
We're often so diligent in our jobs, our vocation, but maybe a little passive in our calling.
That's the final provocation, to ask yourself, where, this week, can you consciously merge your professional expertise, your vocation, with your spiritual mission, your calling?
Don't let them be 2 separate worlds.
Use those 4 essential friendships to hold you accountable for integrating them.
A fantastic challenge to end on.
Peace and joy be with you.